Well, good morning everyone and welcome back. Cumberland Outdoorsman here with you again. Today I'll be doing a little bit of late season squirrel hunting and taking you along with me. We're going to be heading over to that hardwood stand on the other side of this cornfield. We're on some public ground here, and I'm going to be sharing some tips and techniques so that you can also be successful in late season squirrel hunting. Squirrel hunting this time of year can be rather tough because, to be honest with you, squirrels are really skittish, and there's no leaves on the trees, so they don't feel very safe. Any slight movement, even from a distance, and they're gone. So you need a good, accurate .22 rifle where you can reach out there, 50 or 60 yards and beyond, actually, and still make, very consistent hits. So come along with me. Let's go to the woods and we'll get set up, and I'll give you some tips and techniques like I promised so that you can be successful as well. I'll see you in the woods. Okay folks, tip number one. When you're approaching your hunting location, you're trying to get in the woods, get in there quietly, always try to go and look for an open place. Don't go busting through the brush where you make a lot of noise on your approach, because squirrels can hear that. And always try to move slowly, scan the treetops, all the branches and everything, to see if you see any squirrel movement at all. A lot of times on my way to where I want to hunt, I'll spot some squirrels running up and down trees or moving along branches, especially in late season, because this is the squirrel rut. So the male squirrels will be chasing the females, But I always look for these little trails like this right here. See this trail running down over this ridge? It'll lead all the way to the bottom down there. But I stick to these open trails like this because as I'm approaching my hunting location, I won't be making near as much noise. And I try to match my camo to the surroundings. As you see what I'm wearing here, this is real tree, and it has some leaf patterns in it and some bark, as you can see, tree bark. So, whatever the surroundings are, you want to blend in as much as you possibly can, because squirrels have really sharp eyesight, and especially this time of year when there's not many leaves on the trees, they're watching out for predators all the time. So any slight movement or anything that doesn't blend in is going to alarm them to your presence. So remember those tips. Approach your hunting location quietly, move through fairly slowly, there's no rush, and try to blend in as much as you possibly can. So I'm going to work my way down this ridge and get set up over here on the other side. Okay folks, once you find a location where there's a good hardwood stand, there's oaks and hickories, places where squirrels can find food, like this ridge right over here, you want to always look for food, because squirrels are going to need some nourishment, especially colder months, where they can have plenty of protein. But once I find my location, find you a big tree like this hickory right here, something that's wider than your shoulders, and make sure that your camo pattern pretty much blends in with what you're sitting against. Okay, as you can see, this is a really big hickory tree, and it's got some vines growing around it here, something that'll help break me up a little bit. This is also a great kind of a tree to sit up against when you're turkey hunting, when you're trying to call in a turkey, because it really helps break up your outline. And once you get to the location on the tree, you want to move away some of the debris on the ground like I've done here. This is where I'm going to be sitting up, and the reason I want to move some of this stuff back is in case I have to turn to make a shot that way, or maybe up here or up that way, so that when I'm turning I'm not making a lot of noise. Squirrels can hear very well too. So I'm going to be watching this ridge over here. There's several hickories and there's a few oaks and some walnuts in here. So here's a source of food. There's a few squirrel nests up there on that ridge. And I came in here a few days ago and I noticed some squirrel movement in here. So this is where I want to hunt. So we'll get set up here. Got my clip loaded with ammunition. Now, when you're sitting here squirrel hunting, you want to be in the same mode as deer hunting. You want to be quiet, and when you move, just move really slowly. You know, don't make any jerky, quick movements. Move around real slowly and just scan everything. Look for movement, especially on the forest floor, because this time of year these squirrels will be looking for leftover acorns and things like that to feed on. A lot of times they'll be traveling along these down trees and stuff. You'll see them running along the side of the tree. Anyway, we'll get settled in here and hopefully we'll get a shot or two this morning. Well folks, I didn't do any good this morning at all. In fact, I didn't even see a squirrel. But it was kind of cold this morning. In fact, it was really cold. But it's warmed up a little bit during the day. So I'm going to get out here and try it again this afternoon. Conditions are a little bit calmer too. And that's another tip I'm going to leave you with. You know, if you don't do any good earlier in the day, give it a try later on that afternoon when weather conditions improve. The sun may come out, you know, and if not, if the day warms up a little bit, usually squirrels will become active later on that afternoon. A lot of times these squirrels will stay denned up when weather conditions are unfavorable, and then later on they'll start moving. So let's get back down this path and let's give it another try this afternoon. Maybe we'll get a shot or two at a squirrel. Okay, another tip that I can leave you with for hunting these late season squirrels is as you walk through the woods, just like I mentioned earlier, really scan the trees and look at the limbs and everything. Look for any movement as you're walking. Stop and pause and really scan the area. That squirrel I just got a while ago, I spotted him through the timber. I saw the tail flickering up and down, and I came over here, set up, sat here for 20 minutes, let everything settle down. Then I heard him barking up here in the tree, and I was able to harvest that squirrel. Now I've got him marked here where I dropped him. But while I was sitting here, I heard some more squirrels further down. So that's another thing I can advise to you is listen very closely. You know, really listen intently. Listen for squirrels barking and whining and chasing each other up and down trees. You'll hear them clawing the bark on trees. That's a dead giveaway that squirrels will be chasing. And those type of squirrels are easier to approach because they're more preoccupied with chasing one another. If you approach slowly, A lot of times you'll get a shot. Sun's starting to go down, so I'm just going to sit here for a little while, see if there's anything else moving right here in this little section of the woods, because where there's one, there may be more. So I'm just going to stay put right here. I know where that squirrel is. He ain't going anywhere. But if you get up and go retrieve that squirrel, you're going to disturb the area you're in. I just heard another one barking right back here. That's definitely a gray squirrel barking back there. But I'm going to just stay put because it just looks too good right in here. I've got a good open view right here of this whole ridge top right here. All these trees around here. There may just be another squirrel right in here close. So I'm going to head on back to the truck. Maybe come back tomorrow and harvest another squirrel or two. I'm about a mile or so from the truck right now. Anyway, I'm going to head on down this ridge, get on the other side, and get on out of here. Well, folks, I decided to come out here and spend the last afternoon of the season out here hunting this public ground. I'm going to get over here in this hardwood ridge. Now that the sun is coming out and weather conditions have improved a lot, I think I'm going to give it a try here this afternoon. See if I can add a few more squirrels to the stew pot. Came out here yesterday and went back over that way by that cornfield and harvested a couple of squirrels. But today I'm going to come in here. There's a lot of white oaks and stuff, some hickories and some walnuts in here. So thought I'd give it a try. Just about anywhere where there's a good hardwood stand, you ought to be able to get into some squirrels, especially gray squirrels. Tell you what, even though it's public ground, I'm seeing loads and loads of deer tracks here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You would think that after deer season is over, that a lot of these deer would have left the area, but it seems like everywhere I go, there's deer tracks and trails that are just absolutely covered in tracks. Like that. Over here, I mean, just everywhere you go. Look at this trail here. Some big tracks too. There's a trail right here in the middle of this field that skirts the edge of this field. That's good to remember for next year. A lot of deer moving through the area here. I'd say a lot of this is done at night. But anyway, I'm going to get over here and approach my location. I've got a place in mind where I want to go and approach it fairly quietly. Another tip that I can give you in hunting these late season squirrels is try to keep the sun at your back if the sun is out, because then everything in front of you is pretty well lit and your visibility is just going to be much better. So try to keep that in mind as well. Try to take every advantage that you possibly can and get set up and let everything settle down. You should get some action. Well, folks, as I sit here and enjoy the last few moments of the Tennessee hunting season, this is February 2022, the last day. I'm pondering over some of the advice and tips that I wanted to leave you with regarding late season squirrel hunting in this video. Remember, this time of year, squirrel hunting can be very challenging because the trees are bare. There's not much cover for the squirrels to hide, and your shots are typically going to be quite a bit further. And squirrels have very keen eyesight and very good hearing as well. As you're going into the location where you want to hunt, they're going to hear you coming walking through the leaves from a long distance, and you're pretty much disturbed the whole area. So you need to get settled in, get quiet, keep your movements at a minimum, and really listen and concentrate on the entire area around you. Usually after about 30 minutes to an hour or so, things get settled down and you'll start seeing some squirrel activity if you're in good habitat. Speaking of habitat, you want to find stands of hardwoods, oak, hickory, beech, things like that, especially after a good year of mass crop falling, like acorns and hickory nuts, because these squirrels are going to be coming down out of the trees and they're going to be scrounging around under the leaves looking for leftover acorns and other things. Here I've got part of a hickory nut here. It's a hickory I'm sitting next to, and there's a white oak right here, and I'm looking at several other different types of hardwoods here. And I hear a squirrel in the background as well. That's another thing. Really listen, because squirrels can make quite a bit of chatter and noise, and that usually will give their location away. You know, use your ears as well as your eyes. Scan through the treetops, through all the branches and everything. Look at the forks of trees, because a lot of times squirrels will be settled in those tree forks, and you'll get a shot at a squirrel. Remember also that the camouflage that you're using, like what I'm wearing here, I'm wearing a tree bark with mossy oak hat and mossy oak pants. You want a bark pattern, something that blends in with your surroundings so that you don't stand out. You know, use good camouflage. Approach your hunting location as quietly and stealthily as possible. You know, you're going to be making noise, but try to keep it at a minimum and really scan the area around the places where you want to hunt, because sometimes you can get a shot at a squirrel that gets spooked. He'll run up the side of a tree and just stay there, and you can get a shot off. But more often than not, you're not going to see any squirrels until you get settled down. Also remember, weather conditions. You know, squirrels like good weather just like we do. You know, if it's really windy, you're probably not going to see much. Wind is just bad. If you go early in the morning, just like I mentioned, and you have a bad morning, you're not seeing much squirrel activity, and then weather conditions improve later on in the day, go that afternoon. Usually they'll be out because they didn't feed that morning. They're going to be out that afternoon looking for food. So keep that in mind as well. Anyway, I'm trying to think of anything else that I may have covered that I wanted to remind you of. This is just a quick reminder, folks. But, you know, have patience. Patience is the main thing. And you need to get into the deer hunting mode, really. You know, if you can be successful at late season squirrel hunting, you're going to be more than ready for deer season next year if you employ the same tactics. Because I'll be honest with you, you know, the squirrels can be extremely challenging this time of year. I see a lot of bird activity around me. That's a good sign. Whenever you see bird activity, usually that means there's food in the area. There should be squirrels in the area as well. So let me leave you with those tips, and thank you for coming along. I hope you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I left you with some advice that was useful. Try to remember this in the future. You know, if you take up squirrel hunting, get you a good, accurate rimfire rifle. 22 is probably the best all around. And make sure that you can connect with 1-inch targets at least out to 50 yards and beyond. because that's what you're going to need, you know, when hunting these late season squirrels. If you can't consistently keep your shots where they need to go, you're wasting your time. So remember, if you like to go hunting, fishing, shooting, camping, hiking, whatever it may be, I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And also remember, hit that like button, smash that bell icon, and subscribe. That way you'll know when more videos like this will be coming your way. So until next time, y'all take care of yourselves and get out there and enjoy the great outdoors. I'll see you.